Deirdre, hello, my name is Kevin. I am the Dapper Man, and I am so thankful that you're watching this video. If you could do me a favor, it'll hugely, greatly appreciate it. You just hit the subscribe button, which is right there. Okay, if you're watching this on Facebook, I don't know if I'm going to do this on Facebook. Anyhow, like, comment, share. Sharing actually helps. You'd be surprised. Let people know your thoughts, why you're sharing it. That's what helps even more, because I know I share things and people don't say anything until you write a comment why you're sharing it. Then people was like, okay, now you've got my interest. So if you want to do that, thank you. If you don't, thank you, because you're watching this video and I hugely, greatly appreciate it. Enjoy. So I'm going to be talking about a horror film that was directed by Bill Paxton. It's his director debut. It was made for a budget of $11 million, and it got back a return of $17.5 million, which is just barely making it, so it wasn't very profitable enough to actually make more of it, or to make a sequel. Not saying that this movie I'm going to be talking about would require a sequel, but the chances are pretty high if it actually did very well. It didn't, unfortunately, and it's very sad. Critics praised the ever-living crap out of this movie. Like, I've read all kinds of newspaper clippings. I've read a lot by Stephen King because he praised this movie. Roger Ebert really thought this was a great movie, and I'm just going to say, well, before I tell you my opinions, let's talk about the movie. The movie is called Frailty. This movie is not based on a true story. It's based on some true events, kind of like, but not a true story. And it's not based on a true city in Texas. This movie is set in Texas. In fact, the actor, Matthew McConaughey, Bill Paxton, and one other actor, I can't remember his name, Powers Booth. It just, for some reason, it dawned on me. They're all from Texas. The movie is set in Texas, but it was filmed in California. It is a gothic thriller horror. And if it was written by Stephen King, that's exactly the type of style you get for this film. Now, during the 1970s, there was the God's Hand Killer, and he killed 6 people, and they were just unknown cases. They were disappearances. They couldn't find him. It was pretty like one of those open cases that would never shut because they was never solved. Until one night, this is like in the 90s, late 90s, Fenton Meeks walks into an FBI quarters and he claims that he knows who the God's Hand Killer is, and that he has been part of this evil family that did the murders. It brings attention to the detective because he wants to know. After all, this has been on his case since it happened. So Fenton Meeks, which is played by Matthew McConaughey, tells him about all these events and tells him from the very beginning how it started, all the way into the present day, of where he knows where the person is, who the person is, and what really happened behind the killings. Now, I believe this film could be interpreted in many ways. For one, it could be interpreted as a religious fanatic who is just lost in his mind and just using the name of God and angels and scripture and prayer and everything else, and using it very loosely so he can avenge death. This movie can also be interpreted as some sort of mythical way of just using the name of Christianity, which it could be basically any religion in this matter, just to transpire the murders. Now, whatever the case you may view this movie, this is going to be my opinion, so you may, if you wish to share your thoughts, you can put it down in the comments below, but this is my thoughts on the movie. And this is what I feel on this movie. This movie, it is, without a shadow of a doubt, downright chilling and creepy. And the music really adds to the atmosphere. I really enjoyed the beginning of the film, where I missed it, where movies just began in such a way where it introduces you into what kind of movie you're about to watch. And the beginning was done mostly by Bill Paxton, with all the clips he got from murder magazines and everything else, and just showing it in print. I believe did a fantastic job at just laying down exactly what kind of movie you're going to be watching. Now, the religious tone is pretty mixed, but it's molded to fit a certain type of view, and that view is like this religious fanatic that just lost his mind and believes the best way he can take care of these demons as he is murdering, or he doesn't say murder, but avenge these demons. They kill demons, not people. Is through this axe that he has, and it's printed Otis. Now, it's never explained in the movie, but it actually sets a sort of impression on one's mind and thoughts of what exactly is Otis. To me, it's very interesting to know about these religious fanatics, because while I personally don't know a religious fanatic with a murderous intent, I have known some religious fanatic people, and these are people that claim they're Christians, but they've never really opened a Bible on their own. They've never really took the time to explore, to compare scripture, to actually do research or anything else. They just look at the scripture, take it for face value, and that's exactly what it means. When scripture does mean what it says, but it requires intentional studying and intentional reading, and you have to be intentional about it. You can't just read whatever you say right there. It's like, that's exactly what it means. It takes time to explore. It's a scripture. It is a holy book. It is a religious book. It's not just like a story time book. So sometimes people get confused and they don't understand exactly what they're reading. And in this case, in my view, from what this man is doing, he's done the same thing. He's taken certain scriptures and he uses it for his own advantage. Now, this film, like I said, is very good. I don't want to give away anything else, because then it would just give away the ending. I think it's done very well. I really like the creep factor. I like that it uses images and it uses perception of how the story is told to acknowledge and understand how violent this person is. It doesn't really show the actual murder. I mean, it shows from the shot from when the person has the axe, and it shows from the point where the person is just about to receive the axe into his or her body, but it doesn't actually show it actually being happened. I could tell that Bill Paxton has watched a lot of Hitchcock. In fact, on the commentary of the DVD when I watched it, he talks that he was very much influenced by Hitchcock movies. In fact, I'm very impressed with this DVD edition because it has a load of features, and it surprised me. This is a movie I would not mind at all seeing get remastered through its picture and through its audio. I believe it's worthy of it, and I believe it should be something that's more noticed, and someone should actually take time to watch. It's not one of those films that I could say I recommend for anybody, because not anybody is really up for these types of films, especially when it's done in this horror thriller, and then especially on a sensitive topic such as God and faith. But this movie does a very well job, and it doesn't make everything so clear, so it's almost like leaving to one's interpretation. Now, Bill Paxton has said in his commentary he believed when he made this movie that it should be viewed twice or more. Now, I can tell you, I've watched this movie about like 8 times, and when you watch it the first time, I think you got the most of it. Now, there's certain people who may like, okay, I could watch the second one, and then it kind of may lose its luster and value, but I can't help but just look at the effective shots and the editing. The editing was probably my favorite part of this movie because it was done very well. Along with that was the young kid actors. They were amazing. I mean, usually when you get kid actors, they're not really that great, and they're just like, they don't really transpire the emotions as they say the words. They do it fantastic. Bill Paxton actually put a lot into this film, I could see, and I think he had a good time making this because it shows. It shows when a director does a good job and he enjoys what he's doing. It shows. Now, Bill Paxton as an actor is Bill Paxton. He always plays his type of role, which is almost like overplaying certain things, but it's done pretty well. And I think this is probably one of the best roles he's ever done. So I think he does better when he's actually acting in his own movie he directed. Now, he only directed 2 movies. The other movie he did was like The Greatest Game Ever Played with Shia LaBeouf, which is a Disney movie. So it's pretty sad in my mind that he only directed 2 movies. If you want to know why it's rated, this is the reason why. And that is my review. It is a movie I believe that is like just gone not as well known as it should be. I believe this movie could be done or being shown more. And I believe it's going to eventually develop a cult following. If it doesn't have one already, I don't know. But I believe it will. It's going to be that time frame where people are going to start noticing this film, and they're going to be like, wow, where was this movie? It was made back in 2001. Just thought of it. This movie will eventually develop that cult following. It was made back in 2000, so it's technically 20 years. Next year, 2021. So usually within 20 years, you start getting that type of cult following. I think people may start noticing this movie a bit more now than they did during the time. I know when I was at a video store, this movie got mixed reviews when people returned the movie back. There are some people who's like, hey, I want another movie. I can't watch this movie. It's too disturbing. And this movie can be very disturbing because of what it talks about. And there's some people who's like, the movie was barely an R. It wasn't violent enough. There was no gore. There was not enough blood. And I was like, that's not what makes the movie. But if that's what you think, okay. You know, the customer was always right. Now that the video stores are not here and movie theaters are not here except for certain drive-ins, and drive-ins are showing very limited movies, I guess what everyone has is to watch movies at home, which is basically what I've been doing most of my life. Oh, I have a sad life. Oh, I've got to rethink myself. If you have watched this movie, let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't seen it, if you are interested, let me know. And if you have any further questions, I'm more than happy to answer your questions through the comments below. As long as you keep it within proper terms and not just go outlandish and start sending me like 5 different websites towards all these different people's websites of their theories. I'll read 1 or 2, but I'm not going to read all 25. I had one person did it for a movie review I did. It was odd. People are odd. I'm odd. Oh well. Have a lovely day. Take care. Until next time. Cheers.